Good afternoon everyone, it's Nick here and I'm going to be reviewing the shit show that is In the Tall Grass. Now this was written by Stephen King and his son Joe Hill. It's a novella, so it's a very small book, and basically, what's his name? Vincenzo Natali, who directed The Cube, which is quite a cool movie actually. I really enjoyed that. Sort of had a crack at it. Apparently he's been after this movie for a long time, but who knows why. If it's a novella, you're not going to really have much content to deal with, and that's the big problem with this. It's very little content. If it was a full novel, you have a lot of different things happening. So for the first 20 or 30 minutes, you're quite intrigued about the characters getting trapped in this grass. But after that, when the same things happen over and over and over again, it loses any meaningful sort of, interest, to be honest with you. And that's just the main, idea of the movie. Let's go a little bit deeper though. Let's have a look at the story. Now the story basically starts with brother and sister heading on across the American whatever, heading to San Diego. She's 6 months pregnant. She's going to meet the potential adopters of her child. She doesn't want to keep her child. And she feels a bit sick, and they stop on the side of the road. And while they're stopped there, they hear Tobin, who's shouting in the grass for help. Because he can't get out. So of course they go in there because it's a Stephen King movie. They go in there, they don't really find him straight away, but they do end up bumping into his father, his mother.
Hey, what's going on?
His dog, her ex-boyfriend.
Becky?
So everybody seems to be along for the ride except for the kitchen sink, but that's probably because I cut 10 minutes out of it. Anyway, so the big issues that I have with this movie are everything. Actually, that's a lie. Most things in this I have issues with. I'll talk about the good things first. I did really like the continuity jumps. For example, the cause and effects, which aren't actually cause and then effect. Sometimes it's the effect that corrects the cause. Yes, that's right. So I enjoyed that. I did like the cinematography too. I like the way that the camera went through the grass, almost as if the grass was able to do what it wants. This sort of malevolent feel as it hunted the people. I like the way the grass didn't even go across the lens; it just went right through the grass. So I don't know if it was CGI or just some very clever trick photography. So that was quite good. I like that. Everything else, as I say, I didn't so much. The dialogue is shit. It is bad. It's like it was written by a 10-year-old. I'm not quite sure why it is like this, but it is pretty bad. The acting is bland. That's not their fault though, because I think they have very little material to work with, except for Becky, but we'll get to her in a minute. We have Ross, who's acted by Patrick Wilson, who's the only actual actor I think people will recognize in this. He's a good guy. I've always liked him. Sadly in this he goes full Nicolas Cage. He's hysterical, as a matter of fact. I was laughing when he was on and he was preaching about the coming of the apocalypse, or I actually don't know. I kind of turned off. Well, not turned off, but my brain melted at this stage. So he basically is trying to herald in something. There's a rock in this. This is the big bad, is the rock, with lots of graffiti on it. Okay, not really graffiti, but it's carvings, etc., etc. While Ross is going nuts, he does mention that the rock's been there before the American continent, so maybe it's something from hell, or it's fallen from the sky. It's a Stephen King, so who the fuck knows or cares? And yeah, he goes completely batshit insane. As I say, Nicolas Cage on a good day. At one stage, he actually kills his wife by popping her head like a grape. So not quite sure where he got the Hulk strength from. Maybe from touching the rock. Who knows? Then you have Becky, sweet Becky, who screams the whole way through this. And I'm not joking. She screams the entire movie. This is the biggest problem of the movie, is the screaming in this. It's one thing shouting people's names because you're trying to find them in this fucking maze of grass. But when you have a character who's, sort of constantly in labor, it's not because of that, it's because the grass wants to get into her baby or whatever the fuck, I don't know. But she screams the whole way through it. It's like an ICU fucked maternity ward. The entire thing is screaming and screaming and more screaming. Sorry, I'm screaming. I remember I remember almost breaking my glass of wine because it was like, it's like that. It's like